think it started over.
Cool. That's cool. 2 pieces is not that bad. And so, just more imagery. This is really cool. You can't really see this unless you're having a conversation with a guy who edited it or someone who knows the guy who edited it. You may not be able to make this out. It may just be a nice backdrop for you. But what's actually happening in the imagery behind there is we've done there's a juxtaposition between what happened on the slave blocks when they were measuring Africans and seeing, how strong, what their potential was, basically, what their genetics was reflecting inside of what they were. And then over here on the other side, we've got the exact same operation happening, but it's not happening for slaves. It's happening for folks who are playing in the NFL. This is what it looks like inside of the NFL Columbine when they're measuring and weighing our men and trying to see how much of a buck they are. Basically the same dynamic. This is a conversation about the founder's message. So it's a message from me to the rest of the readership. And this is, an image from Ferguson. This is an image of open rebellion. And I tied this to the open rebellion of the South. But before I got there, of course, I had to give some love to Classic. Had to give a shout out to another article that may come soon. So, just tickle your taste bud a little bit. Okay. But it's just good to see South being loved in a publication. It's important. But yeah, this is about the rebellion of the South against Abraham Lincoln and his method by which to reconstitute the Union. How did he bring America back together? Right. So how does Ferguson bring itself back together? How does Baltimore bring itself back together? And how did Abraham Lincoln bring the country back together? So we have a conversation about how those 2 instances reflect each other and also what it means to be in rebellion and how that can't be really described as being something that's illegal or being a part of something that's illegal. Because once you leave there, you're no longer bound by the laws and the policies of that country or that society. So, Abraham Lincoln tried his best to do to free slaves in states that he was no longer the president of at that time. There was a guy named Jefferson Davis, who was actually the president and had been the president of the South for almost a year prior to Abraham Lincoln doing the Emancipation Proclamation. So it's like Donald Trump walking up and telling, the president of Mexico that he's going to build a wall, and the former president of Mexico said Trump was fucking crazy. Like literally, and said that on open air television. So that just lets you know the dynamics of what it would be like for one leader of a nation to try to tell another leader of a nation what the new laws are going to be in your country. Nah, it's not going to work. Right. This one is A Threat to Justice. It's a conversation about Dr. King's letter to the Birmingham jail. Again, very rich. And this isn't just a conversation about the letter from the Birmingham jail. This, in the background, is part of the manuscript or what Dr. King actually wrote while he was in the Birmingham jail, and up here is an image of our brother Alder Sterling who lost his life. Right. And again, the title is A Threat to Justice, and the best part about this is explaining who Dr. King was talking to when he said a threat to justice, and you'll be happy to know he was not talking to black folks. Another image from Birth of a Nation, just to, tie in the pop culture and popular culture into what's going on. Because if you're seeing footage and movies and things like that, you should know that this is the relationship that they're really pulling upon and stressing. Go ahead and flip to the next page. More shout outs, Taste of Jamaica, great food. African Bible Roots, a real exploration of spiritual connections between African spirituality and the Bible that a lot of us are familiar with now. Okay. Again, good imagery, really cool images of different things that we've done inside of the city as the anchor, not as Ma'at, but as the anchor. That was the bi-monthly publication that we were putting out before. Okay. Just lets folks know what we got going on, what we've done. Over here you can see some of the certificates from the classes. So after we published, we actually then turned it into an educational tool and taught students with it. So that was really cool. We've done a public access television show with it. We've done lectures at the Colfax Cultural Center on multiple different topics such as community versus currency, questions about racism, outlawed intellects, and just some spot shots, deep questions to ask. Does your kid know why this is the actual appropriate way to set up Africa? Do you know that the South, as we consider it, is actually flipped upside down? It's crazy, right? Because it's a crazy world to think that that's the real dynamic. It's like damn, it really is flipped upside down. Some famous, or not famous, but notable Facebook posts, so that you know how to interface with us on social media and see what's happening and see what some of the content is. What are you missing out on? This is an opportunity to see that. Plus, some of the things that we write on Facebook are worthless, and then some of the things that we write are worth a long time. We write in parables. We are still writing our own spirituality and the best practices. So we're always sharing that, and that's a great part about being Black and being African. This is How We Forget, conversation about the symbolism of African spirituality and Africa in general, and how it's been appropriated by other cultures. One of the things that is most, prolific inside of American culture that we rarely don't see is the two things: the Tekken and the pyramid, or the Par-Ankh and the obelisk. Those two things are throughout American culture. You see them everywhere, but most importantly, you see it on your dollar bill.
Yep.
What is that real relationship, though, to the folks who originated those symbols? Especially when you look at things like the swastika, which we think of as having some connection with the Third Reich or Hitler's regime, but we don't understand that this is actually, it in its geometry is amazing. It's 4 right angles. You see them right there, you see them right here, you see them right here, you see them right here. But an enlightened mind knows to add 4 90s together and finds out that 4 90s together is 360. 360 degrees is the symbol of a circle, which is wholeness, singularity, community. It's just another way of representing the circle and representing the unification. And they actually use this in Tibet to symbolize peace. So This guy, Michael Passavoir, he gave us a great understanding of how we are letting go of the meanings and taking on the modern. Yeah, we're taking on the modern connotations. I mean, you think back to things like snakes inside of the Bible, and you don't realize that every time an ambulance comes to see you, they've got 2 snakes bound together around a cross to indicate healing, because that's what our representation of healing was. We didn't have the same connotation, and sometimes we let that type of thing go. This is, again, one of these little moments for the enlightened right here. This is coolest little Bible verse over here. This is actually what many Hebrew brothers would say is the split. Many Black Africans would say is a split. Maybe even some of our Muslim brothers would say that this is the split between the 2 cultures, that is white culture and Black culture. But it's the story of Esau and Jacob. Yeah. And so when you read this or when you see this, it's just to let you know, yeah, you're on the right path. These are some of the key pieces to it. This over here is for the very enlightened. This is called the Tree of Life. Clearly, it doesn't look like a tree, so if you can't see the tree in there, it's coming. It takes a while, but this is all of your spiritual system is wrapped into one and created in a pictogram or an ideogram, which is a concept that then brings out the memories that you already have inside of you. So this right here is, in essence, the place that God had. This is the hierarchy of all powers inside of the universe. And so this explains how all of it works. I'm not going to get too far into detail and start doing Kabbalah with you, but it's there. You know what I'm saying? Actually, the funniest thing is out of all of this stuff that I have right here, I was over at my partner's house. It was, they getting it in like they normally get it in, bottle of Hennessy on the table, herbal essence in the air, chopping it up, beautiful women, all of that good stuff. Uh-huh. And the only thing that I was able to actually talk to people about inside of that night was this.
Really?
Yeah, a brother came to me and he was like, somebody came up to tell me that the entire world that we live in is an illusion. And I was like, take a look at this journal real quick. Let me just show you where that came from. Right. And that's important, especially for the conscious body. This is a decent textbook, or at least a segue for you to be able to share some of your deeper thoughts and understandings and those things that are troubling your mind. This is some poetry, because poetry is important. We gotta have that in there. Carsonia White came to South Bend more than once just to share her poetry. She's got a book out called Songs in a Key called Baltimore. And this one in particular is a song that she wrote, a poem that she wrote about her 2 boys and her 2 sons, and how she felt after looking at rebellion and thinking that she had 2 black men at home. In addition to that, we also have Kayla Hardy, who submitted 2 pieces as well, Show and Tell and Mother Son. Both of those are really fun and great imagery. One thing about this young lady is what she doesn't want to do in alliteration, she can do through using the language to conjure different images in your mind. She can take your emotion and take you to a different place. Shout out to Mosetta, shout out to Sweet Beads, an awesome, incredible resource. This should be, honestly, either her or another jeweler. So diamonds, right, aren't necessarily that rare. It's the way in which the individual controls their product and their marketing in order to create value.
Right.
So if we can get behind one of these things, we can control the industry that creates the gifts that we really want to give. Yeah. And a lot of this, she does an incredible job of locking in symbolism with beauty. And as you can see, I mean, it's all over the place. Fighting cancer with the boxing glove, all diamond bezeled out. She's got Barbie for those folks who, have that type of affinity. She's got, different crucifixes here. She's got different ribbons here. She's made me more than one comedic piece. So she's hip. She's able to do it. And what she doesn't understand, she'll still help you make it.
Gotcha.
This one is a 3-part series done by Despo, Ronaldo Poindexter, dope brother. And it's a 3-part series because he wrote a piece about how the black woman represents the fertility and vitality of nature in all aspects. And so it's not just the nature that's on our planet, but the nature that is inside the universe. And that's why we chose, this image first.
Okay.
Is because this, on the outside, this blackness is about, that's representational of the black woman. This is representational of life. So this ether or this darkness is what birthed all of the light that you see now, and the light that then turned into different aspects of creation. So that's why, and so what he tried to do and what his labor was to be able to express how the black woman is represented in nature, or her essence. Don't get it twisted. He's not saying the black woman is literally God. He's saying that her representation in this earth and inside of the human connotation, she is God because she is the very first mother of all other creatures in civilization.
Gotcha.
And then the blackness of space, again, is the birther of all light and all other things that come to manifest. This is a conversation another piece of the conversation written by a woman named Khadijah. And what she was basically saying is while that sounds beautiful, but make sure that you give us our humanity as well. Right. Don't make us a fixture, don't objectify us, make us into, your equals and to people who are people, living, breathing, crying, celebrating entities, not just some monolithic thing that you just see and you kind of just gaze at and never interact with.
Gotcha.
Don't turn us into statues. And then this is another one that is also another dissenting piece written by Michael Passifar about, kind of going over both the vitality of the black woman and how she is connected to the universe, but also saying, listen, hold up, brother. You might want to really listen to the woman and hear what she has to say.
Okay.
And then the last thing that we did, which is important, which is, kind of a segue into the survival guide and into the more pragmatic stuff. Because everything I just talked about is, it's abstract, it's philosophic, it still touches you, but it's abstract. And so we added into here our trade and skill registry throughout the city. So when we went out into the community and asked people what it is that you could do in order to contribute to this community that is not a job, but it's something that is more like a calling or your passion or just your side trade, how can people interact with you? And they were able to give us what trades and skills they had, and then some were willing to actually say what they need. So we've got it split up real simple. Needs over here, trades over here. Trades are much more robust, the list is much longer, so it's not like the community is dying over here and we're missing, and you can always call 574-213-5151 or 574-381-6611. 381-6611 in order to get help with a specific thing. I can look through this for you, or you can get a copy and look through it yourself.
Okay.
Whatever you want to do. But yeah, we wanted to make sure we had that available.
I love that.
Yeah, I think that's the key to unlocking the potential of the community is right there.
That's huge.
And it's all just a question. This again is survival guide. Pragmatic, simple. This image right here is of necklacing. If you don't know what necklacing is, Google it. Again, it's necklacing. Google it. It has something to do with the apartheid. Think Winnie Mandela. Think Nelson Mandela. Think of what we had to go through in order to fight for our freedom in South Africa. And just, yeah, that image is a lot. If you know it, if you don't, it looks cute.